All right, so I just completed my little interview with Joe Hug. And as always, it's just so lovely to connect with him. He's such a beautiful man. And yeah, and so I just want to acknowledge that it takes a lot of courage to get on here and speak and answer some of these questions. And I really appreciate the Joe's courage and the vulnerability and to what he speaks to. And just, I'm definitely left as I was before with Jamie's interview as well, but just inspired and empowered by these beautiful people in our valley that contribute a lot and show up. Yeah, just they really show up in our community in various ways, but definitely around health. I'm noticing both, like I've only interviewed two people, but there's a lot of just a lot of goodness. And I'm excited for the others that have expressed interest in meeting with me. So yeah, I'm feeling a lot of gratitude and blessings with the people in my life and with the curiosity and willingness to talk about things that are whatever, a little risque. But anyways, I hope you enjoy this one. And yeah, once again, not a professional at this, so just winging it and not trying to be a professional either, I guess. I just want to share some stories and hopefully foster some more curiosity and uh, yeah, curiosity and connection. Like, yeah, we're all beautiful people and we all got lots to offer. So, um, yeah, anyways, yeah, enjoy. Bye. There we go.
Where we're being recorded.
Yeah,
Excellent.
we're in action.
Serious, serious stuff.
Well, thank you so much, Joe, for making the time to meet with me. And yeah, so this is podcast number two.
Number two. Yeah. I saw number one. It was good.
Yeah.
Very, very well done.
Yeah, and so it was just really, yeah, I'm really enjoying just connecting with people and getting inspired. It was, yeah, so I'm excited to connect with you and hear a bit about like yourself. So we'll just get started right away. So, what is your name and where are you from?
I'm Joe Hugg, and I'm from Smithers, BC, born and raised here.
Sweet, awesome. And so this is your home. This is where home is for
It's
you.
home. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Is there anything you'd like to share about your home or ancestry? Like,
My grandparents came here in 1937 from Switzerland with my father and his three siblings, and they were all teenagers. And then in sometime in the early 60s, my father took over the farm and he went back to Switzerland and found my mother, and she was quite a bit younger than he was. Brought her back here. They had five kids. And then, yeah, now the property is still owned by the Hugs, just in different parcels. So it's working out quite well. Yeah.
so cool. I love the history. That's neat.
Oh, yeah. There's lots of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're going to get to learn some more about you as we go through these questions. So, living in the Balky Valley, what do you love most about living here? Like, what's made you stay?
Well, the people, a lot of great friends, the mountains, the clean river, this amazing farm, um, just the smallness of it, the simplicity. I've been to a lot of places in the world and a lot of comparison, and I thought, yeah, I mean, I was the kind of kid I thought the grass was always greener on the other side, and I went to the other side, and it wasn't really greener.
Totally. Awesome. Okay, cool. And then, what is your livelihood, like your job, career, or means of making ends meet?
The part of the land that I have here, I've made it into an organic vegetable farm, and yeah, that's going quite well for the last 17 years now. It's getting a little bigger every year. Started really small, and now we're kind of a medium-sized organic farm, I guess you could say. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the interest in farming and organic farming has increased too, I guess, probably. Have you noticed a change in that? Like just the industry itself?
Yeah, yeah. I think people are becoming aware of what's in their food and they want to get organic and they want to get it from somebody who's growing it themselves or they want to grow it themselves. And that's the way to go. I've done enough research to see the facts about those
Yeah.
cows. and
Yeah.
it ain't good.
Yeah. Well, 17 years is a long time. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, a while.
that's
Yeah.
got some experience. Hmm. And so then, what is your passion? What brings you joy?
Um, just the simplicity in life and going in out in the farm, getting in the soil, and just seeing the ordinary and really feeling how extraordinary it is. I mean, how we are here in this on this farm, and we can grow things and we can make it better every year.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge, and I enjoy a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
Totally. Well, I was in the garden with my mom there and pulling out horsetails. They got into her beds there. And so just like what was blowing my mind is just how like there's strings, like how they just go everywhere. Like you can't get to the root of some of these plants, like when you get the weeds in there. And so I can imagine, yeah, through your experience, you've probably had lots of different things.
yeah. Those are the worst weeds, like thistles, quackgrass, where they have those roots that just keep on going and they'll pop up a plant every 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah.
Rototiller is the worst thing you can do. Every tiny little piece will make a new plant. And a couple of years ago, I was I was doing more reading, and there's more of a push for people not to work their soil so much. A lot of experts are saying, don't work your soil so much. And I was working my soil a fair bit. The results were good, but so I decided to stop working the soil so much, and the result was I'm starting to get more of those type of weeds. So I kind of regret listening to the experts in
Right.
that regards, because this spring I was yeah, digging out a lot of thistle and quackgrass. That's mainly, and there's also a type of hawkweed that does that. I can't remember what it's called, but every tiny piece will grow another plant.
Yeah.
So you got to dig it out. And I have it in one of my greenhouses, and I'm just digging with a fork.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah,
well, like I think of like I bring all this stuff to life and how some of these weeds, like these negative things, like how they can just be so entrenched. Like we're pulling this the horsetails out and it just seems like every year they're coming back and you just got to keep pulling the weeds out and so I was anyways, I was kind of connecting it to therapy. Just pulling the negative thoughts, the whatever.
it's there. It is therapy. I
Totally.
that. Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, and just yeah, and I had my feet in the dirt, so yeah, I can relate to that joy, just being out in nature for
yeah.
sure.
Grounding,
Yeah,
grounding. I work barefoot quite a bit now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely I had my feet in the dirt, just soaking it up. Sounds good. But yeah, so the next one is so your influence like, on values and influences. So what has influenced you most in your life, and how have these influences shaped your values and the way you show up in the world?
Well, when I was a teenager, I, I didn't have any direction. I was a little wild, and I had this inspiration to go traveling, just backpacking. I was 17 years old, and I thought, yeah, I want to go somewhere. I want to go somewhere for a year, and I want to go somewhere really wild. When I was a kid, I used to always spin the globe and just dream of traveling everywhere. I didn't know how I was going to do it. Then I met a friend of mine also had the same feeling, and one night, actually, the way it all started is we were at a certain house party at his place, actually, and it's about 3 o'clock in the morning. Everyone was either gone or they were sleeping or whatever. And there was a big globe on his coffee table. And we made a pact that one of us would spin the globe and the other one would be blindfolded and point at the globe. And wherever that globe stopped, wherever your finger stopped, that's where we had to go in January. I think I was 17 at the time. And yeah, we made a pact. And my finger landed right in the middle of the Middle East.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had to do it. And I didn't really know much about the Middle East. So I knew a little bit about Israel, a little bit about the history. But then I started to realize, yeah, this is meant to be. And we actually got in touch. Someone had been in Israel and they said, I go to Israel first and work on a kibbutz. It's a good idea. So we got in touch with the Jewish Center in Vancouver, and they set us up with a kibbutz. And yeah, like 3 months later, we are flying to Tel Aviv. And
Wow, that's crazy.
but yeah, it was called Kibbutz Chatzarim in in not far from Beersheba in the Negev Desert.
Okay.
Yes, we were there for about 3 months,
What were
four
you
months.
doing then? Like what? I don't even know. Like what were you doing there? Like just traveling?
Kibbutzes are small farms, communal farms, like communes, uh,
Okay.
mostly Jewish, but they take volunteers from all religions. I mean, I'm not Jewish, and it was fine. Um, and they have like different crops. This particular kibbutz is where they made drip irrigation, which is kind of ironic because many years later I was using their drip irrigation on my farm. Never thought I would be doing that. And yeah, they had an avocado plantation. They had a dairy. They had yeah, numerous types of industry. They had. It was interesting. Learned a lot. And then while I was there, we got to backpack around Egypt a bit and go into sneak into Lebanon and get into some trouble here and there. It's a different story, but yeah. And then after that, went over to Europe and stayed there for a few months. And I ended up working in Switzerland. Being a Swiss citizen, I could work there, so I did that. And when I came back to Canada, I was gone for a year, and I came back to Canada. And I thought, okay, now that's out of my system. But it wasn't, because 3 months later, I just wanted to go traveling again. So that's what I did. I did this like 3 or 4 or 5 different times, and I was a travelaholic, backpacking and living cheap. Going around India and China. Way back in the day when it was quite a bit more difficult to travel than it is now. And yeah, I spent a lot of time in Turkey and South America. And anyway, long story short, I think that's what really got me on the right track and inspired me. There's also a lot of people that inspire me. My mother was a great inspiration. My father, was one heck of a man. Really, he was a hard ass, but he was just yeah, he was quite a guy. Anyway, I'm talking too much here.
No, well, you're supposed to. This is what was like the kind of the key thing with your mom and then with your dad, like that really stood out for you? Like
My
the
mother she always had a big garden, and my father had the cattle on the farm. And when I was about 8, 9, 10, I had a choice. I work with my father and my mother, and I'd always choose working with my mother. She was much easier to get along with for me. And just by that happening, I learned a lot about gardening, and I actually liked weeding, which was really strange. My mother was like, she thought there must not be something wrong with that kid. He likes weeding. Like, what's going on with that? And I had no idea that years later I'd be brought back
Mhm.
to that. And it also gave me the false impression that I knew more than I did. Had I known how little I knew, maybe I wouldn't have started an organic farm. I thought I knew more than I did, and I was in a little bit over my head, but slowly, reading a lot of books and learning and watching other farmers, it came together, and yeah, I'm starting to know a little something now, I guess.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a lot to know, though, a lot more than I could have ever imagined.
yeah. Wow, it's so neat. I can see just knowing you a little bit, but that those traveling experiences and then also so much time on the land, like having growing up in a farm environment and gardening, like that's pretty special. Like that's
Yeah, and from the traveling, I realized that there's a responsibility with having land. It's not just real estate; it's
right.
a responsibility, and we have to look after it, and we have to really cherish it and keep it for the future, and make sure that it's well tended to.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Oh, I love it. Cool. So, so this would be, so another one was, yeah, I guess around success. So this goes into success and leadership. So what does success mean to you, and what does leadership mean to you? What qualities do you think make a strong leader?
Well, first of all, success is just waking up in the morning and feeling good about what you're going to do that day.
Mhm.
Success is coming in the evening, putting your feet up and realizing, yeah, that was a ride, uh,
Yeah.
good or bad, success is taking the good with the bad, and leadership, the second part of your question there. Um, I've I've never been the kind of person who wanted to really lead. I would kind of rather have somebody else lead, but
Yeah.
I'll do it if I have to, you know? Um, that's the way it's been with me, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have anything around like what do you see in a leader? Like what kind of if you're led by somebody, what are the qualities like what would you want in that kind of
Yeah.
leadership?
I want a leader to have a lot of empathy for people.
Mhm.
I want a leader to have done their research, experience. Um, I want a leader who is flexible, strong, lives by example. That's what I like. I like someone who can. If someone's going to tell me what to do, I want them to be doing it too.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Well, I see you as a leader with like your operation at Hugs Farm, right? You lead the
Yeah,
people and I definitely see those qualities that you just described in you. Like hugely.
try. I try.
Yeah, when I've been out there, you're out there weeding and doing all this stuff too. So it's uh
Yeah,
you're in there with them and yeah, and teaching lots, the mentorship that you've provided. It's
yeah. Before the farm, I had a small roofing company,
okay.
and I also liked being with the guys and working on the roof and installing the shingles. And as the company was kind of growing, it became self-evident that I was going to be having more than one crew, and my job would basically be doing just estimates, talking to people, figuring things out, being the boss guy. But I really liked actually being on the roof, and I liked, being in there. So yeah, as time went on, I think I did that for 12 years, and yeah, then when the farm was being divided, um, I knew I needed a change, and I'd been doing a lot of research on effects of chemicals on people's well-being, and I was reading a study where I think it was in Seattle. I don't remember the actual who did the study, but there was like 35 children they took from just average homes who had been eating average food, and they did tests. And at first, with the parents, they had to make sure the parents were in on this whole test. I think the kids were 8 or 10 years old, and they tested blood samples, urine samples, and they found so many chemicals in there that were not meant ever to be in a human body, and
Right.
levels were so high. And they decided to do a 3 month all organic food, totally cut them off the chemicals, and then they tested it again, and it was just, that had me sold. I thought something's got to be done, and Gandhi said, "Be the change you wish to see." And at that time, I was inheriting some land, and it was right on the river, and I thought I knew what I was doing. So I just hung up the roofing stuff, and I just started this organic farm. And yeah, with my wife Simone, she was doing homeopathy and teaching violin, and they really complemented each other, those two vocations. I didn't know where it was going to go. I remember when I hooked up the plow to a tractor in the lower field, I was plowing, trying to get these perfect plow routes, and that was actually a big moment when that started. I've got photos of it somewhere. I didn't know. I had no idea where it would go. Now I've got, like, I think 6 or 7 acres that's all plowed up, and that's including part cover crop. But yeah, it's yeah, it's
Mhm.
gotten bigger than I thought it would be, and a lot of support from the town, from the people. I mean, we really try our best to make the best product we can,
Mhm.
and have a good crew. I've got really good people working here.
Yeah.
Really helps.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when I've been out there, the vibe is always, like, it was a couple years ago, I think I was there. And yeah, your staff is really good energy, like loving people.
Yeah,
Really, yeah. So the food's got that energy going into it too.
yeah, and we try to be as efficient as we can on
Right.
big efficiency, and then you can keep the prices, you know,
Yeah.
moderate. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Gotta. I'm always trying to get more efficient.
yeah. Yeah. Well, we're so lucky to have you in the valley, like hugely.
Like,
So lucky. So so yeah, so then the next questions kind of, yeah, just go into a little bit more around community concerns and solutions. So are there any concerns you'd like to share? What solutions or ideas do you have for addressing any of these concerns that if you see anything in our community or wherever, if there's anything that you want to speak to, and you can pass on any of these too. You don't have to
yeah.
answer.
Um, yeah, in our community, Smithers was up until about 5 years ago, as far as I know, it wasn't known for street drugs. There was always a little here and there, but since COVID, that's become a real problem. And I think our judicial system has to really come down hard on that.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
and the homeless problem we have here, which we never had before in the last 10 or 15 years, especially in the last 5 years,
Yeah.
seeing things that I don't like to see. But Smithers is still a great town with a lot of really good people. A lot of new people move here.
Yeah.
Good folks get attracted to Smithers, full of musicians and poets and writers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a good dance the other night. I missed out on the Friday night one this
Oh
week.
yeah, the spring
Yeah.
fling. You
Yeah.
you weren't there.
I know I wasn't able to, but I made it to the one the next night. But yeah, I heard that one on Friday was really, really good.
Yeah.
So awesome. But yeah, there's lots of new people in our community and lots of new energy, it feels. So it's lots of different things coming up, more clubs and activities. I've seen.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But yeah, definitely that's a concern I think for a lot of people is around the homelessness and the drug stuff and just that has never I've been here my whole life too and it's never been this bad. And
Yeah. I actually know four parents. They're not all from here. Four parents who've had teenagers die of drug overdoses.
yeah.
Three of them weren't even really drug users very much. One was an addict, but the three of them were just recreational
Hmm.
and wrong thing at the wrong time. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's just it's so accessible now. Like it's super easy, I think, for people to get on it. And then if you're not aware or you're having whatever, like, yeah, suicide's another one, whether it's with drugs or not, but that's another one that I've seen way more increase is around mental health and suicide level of over like since COVID, there's been a lot more.
yeah,
But with that, that's it's also created a lot more awareness of the work we need to do around healing because
yeah.
that,
Mental health is so important.
yeah, and we all have it. There's not one person that doesn't have mental health. It's just like physical health.
Yeah,
We all.
yeah. On working on it
Uh-huh.
and get yourself in the mirror, be honest with yourself,
Yeah, yeah.
and do what you need to do to help yourself be happy because no one else is going to really make you happy, really, when it comes down to
Yeah. Yeah. I
it.
know that conversation I had with Jamie last time, but what came through there was that humility piece when he was talking about leadership and stuff. But I feel that's a big piece is like us all like kind of doing that inner reflection and then looking at where we can do better and how to contribute to the like the solutions,
Yeah,
with these problems because we can't expect one person or one whatever group to fix a problem. It takes a whole bunch of us, right?
yeah. As a
So,
community, we really need to take things into our own hands.
mhm.
I've seen in the last 20, 30 years, no matter what government we've had, things still, I just don't think they really delivered.
Yeah.
So, what I would like to see in this valley, in this regional district, I would like to see the all the clubs and all the organizations, the regional district, the municipalities, the First Nations, the churches,
Yeah.
all get together and say, look, we want to be still part of Canada. We're part of Canada, but we want to take our own resources and our own responsibilities under our own control. And I don't see how that's, you know, how someone couldn't understand that we'd want to do that in light of, I mean, look, we live in this country with abundant resources. Just, I mean, you name a resource, and we
Yeah.
have abundance of it. And we have good people, smart people, educated people. You look at our books as a country, if we were a family, we'd be bankrupt,
Yeah,
you know?
totally.
And I could compare it to being a family who lives on property with oil and gold and all that, and then and going broke. How would that happen?
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm just putting that pitch out there.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's great to see. I don't think our federal politicians or provincial politicians would like hearing that. Speaking of that, we've got the election going on right now. We've
I
got
know. Well,
sounding right.
I love that you spoke, you're speaking to this because I actually took a picture yesterday. I came across this like the signs. It was Taylor and Ellis Ross um and Rod Taylor. Yeah, so the three of the signs right to beside each other, like boom, boom, boom.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
it's like, oh, wouldn't it be amazing if they could just work together and just like work
It
together?
would.
Because there's so many like that's that whole thing. Like I feel like the conservatives or the NDP or the all these different groups, there's if you go to
Yeah,
the middle, like we all
yeah,
want the same things. And then there's always these extreme views that create this big difference or divide. But it's
yeah,
divide is actually not even created by, I think like the people themselves really do want all the same thing. So anyways, I like that you spoke to that because that's exactly I took a picture because I was like, oh, it'd be so cool if these guys would all just work together.
yeah. Those three guys, Ellis Ross, Taylor Backrack, and Rod, they're all good people.
Yeah. And
I
they've
don't
been
know
around for
the
a long
liberal
time.
guy. I don't know him. I forget his name. Running for the Liberals, but
Yeah.
probably a good guy too. And
Yeah, totally.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they've been around for a long time. Like, I don't know the liberal guy either, but the other three I've seen for many years throughout our communities, right? And so yeah. So anyways, I like that you brought that up. That's good. I just want everyone to work together. Awesome. But yeah, so the next question, and you can pass on this one if you like, but it's around COVID. And I've included it just to acknowledge like COVID times were intense for so many people. And
hmm
so what were your key takeaways from that period, if you have any?
well, when COVID started, I was like everybody else. I was like kind of in a bit of shock. I was watching the TV screen, watching the stats they had, and I was, when I'd go to the gas station, I'd be wearing gloves. But then I started looking at numbers and I started listening to other doctors, not just the ones that were pushed on us from CBC and CNN. Other doctors with a lot of them were very well renowned doctors, and it just started to make me question things a little bit. And then when this vaccine came out, I thought, okay, well that sounds good. I'll probably take the vaccine. And then I started to actually do a little bit of looking into the vaccine. What is mRNA? What does it stand for? What does it do? What is it? So I myself being an organic farmer and with my wife Simone, she's a homeopathic practitioner, so we're very much into natural healing. And I had COVID in I think it was that October or November, and it was really minor for me. Like it was like after 3 days, it was just gone, and it was a minor flu. And anybody who knows the basics about our immune system knows that we have immunity after we acquire something like that. So I wondered why they still required people to take that vaccine even after they had COVID. So because in Europe they weren't doing that. They had the COVID passports there. If you could prove you had, a test and you had COVID, then you're good for probably longer than any vaccine could do. So yeah, I mean, long story short, I said, well, I'm not going to take the vaccine, and I didn't. And then I saw all the slowly, you know, people who wouldn't take the vaccine were being very much discriminated against by a lot of people who you wouldn't ever think would discriminate against anybody. And we just had to, tough it out. I mean, I wasn't allowed to see my nephew play hockey in the arena. Couldn't take my kids swimming at the pool. Couldn't go to the library, for God's sakes. I don't know how long this lasted. A long time. I forget how long it lasted. But even after vaccinated people were getting COVID by the dozen and getting it badly, a lot of them too, you know, they still pushed it. It's like, I don't understand why yet. I just don't understand it. And the division it caused in a lot of people, I was just blown away. I'm still kind of shocked by it. You know?
Yeah.
And and now we know a lot of those so-called conspiracy theories were correct. I mean, we know it was made in a lab, whether it escaped on purpose or by intentionally, I don't know. I think it was by accident, I would say. Um, you know, we know that there were other treatments for COVID. There was that were better than the treatment that they had. We
Mhm.
know that there were cover-ups. We know that our officials, our politicians, were being well, they weren't being very ethical, were they really? No apologies.
Yeah.
No, just
Yeah.
go on. Oh,
Yeah.
nothing to see here. That's done.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like it never happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of weird. I
Yeah.
actually went to our mayor about a year ago, and I asked her. I said, I told her about the whole situation. How there were like literally 40% of Smithers people didn't get the vaccine, so it's probably a good 1,500 or 2,000 people.
Yeah.
And and I asked her. I said, she let me actually. I had a good meeting with her. She actually gave me about an hour and a half with her in her office there, and we had a really good talk. And I asked her. I said, "Can you be the first mayor to apologize for those
Yeah.
very unfair um, restrictions that were put on those so-called mandates?"
Yeah.
And she seemed quite receptive because I think she knew a lot of things now that she didn't know when COVID was happening. But she told me that the town council would have to okay it, which I thought was kind of strange. But okay, if that's the way it goes, I don't see how the town council couldn't okay it. I thought it'd be so awesome to be the first mayor to just acknowledge, just say, you know what, we sent in a bit of an apology here because that wasn't really right, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then she actually came back to my farm and she told me that the town council wouldn't let her do that, which I thought was strange too. But she was nice, She was, it was very pleasant,
Yeah.
you know. And I mean, she got some people were, you know, they they gave her a rough time during COVID. She had to take a bit of flack from some people
Yeah. Yeah. It was such a hard time. Like there was like on both sides because for sure
on both sides, and people who were so afraid of this virus, and it really just got I don't know. From my point of view, it got exaggerated.
yeah.
And if people could just take their own health in their own hands, that was the key right there.
Yeah.
And they weren't telling anybody to take vitamin D. They weren't telling anybody to get sunlight. They
Yeah.
weren't saying, cut down on sugar right now. If you're going to eat healthy, this is the time to do it. That would have helped tremendously.
Yeah.
All they do is say, no, we're going to put this jab in your arm.
Well, that's kind of been my biggest thing is it's been such a disempowering leadership that we've had over many years. It's like a training that's been happening where it's always the quick fix. Oh, just get the shot or just do this. And it's not actually taking personal ownership for our health, right? Or our well-being. And if people were really afraid of of COVID, then get the shot. But if
Yeah,
you're afraid of the vaccine, then challenge, like take the risk with COVID. Like we really
yeah,
didn't know much.
yeah. I
But
didn't judge anybody. I didn't judge anybody for getting that.
yeah,
That's fine if you want to do that, but know the facts about it.
yeah.
I kind
Yeah.
of a debate with someone around that time, and she said, "Well, she's kind of really giving me a rough time for not getting the vaccine." And I asked her, "Well, I said, have you actually done your due diligence? Have you actually looked into it?" "Yes, of course I have." I said, "Okay, what does mRNA stand for?" And she couldn't tell me.
Yeah.
I said, "What?
Yeah.
Like, why are you even in this conversation if you don't even know what that means?" If she was buying a dishwasher that said, JTR technology, she would look up what's JTR technology,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
something going into your body, you don't even bother, and then you claim that you do know what you're talking about. So, and then hacking on me for I
Yeah.
don't know, it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense. Like
It's crazy. Well, like the fear that was projected onto the people,
it
and
was,
that's where you have that leadership too. Like some people, like it's just easier just to go with the leader or with the majority or whatever is happening, right?
yeah,
And and that's where, yeah, it's hard to question authorities. Like we know that, and I just like this even leads into that drug thing, but like the fact that we're handing out free drugs and all these things, like it's so enabling. We're not actually helping any like that. We're not empowering people to like step up. And so for themselves. but anyways, but yeah, COVID, I appreciate you speaking to that, yeah, to your experience, because it was very hard. And I feel there's like, I still feel there's lots of healing to just go, well, this is kind of the intention of this podcast, is kind
Yeah,
of
and
getting to know each other.
just talking about COVID in this way, I'm almost a little bit apprehensive still because I know there are people out there who are going to judge because they're still under the influence of certain ideas that were put into them that
Mhm.
simply are not facts, but
Mhm.
that they still feel, and they might look at this podcast and judge me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, but you know what, I'm gonna say what I believe. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say what I saw. I'm gonna talk about my experience.
Yeah. Well, that's all we can do. Everyone has their own experience, right?
And there were hundreds of us.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
in the middle of COVID, we had the Freedom Group, and we were meeting at a friend's shop. I think you went
I went
there,
there. Yeah.
and they were like anywhere from 80 to 100 people there on Friday evenings. And
Hmm.
we food, and people would have talks and discussions about what's going to happen and the latest developments. And
Yeah.
people were hugging, and no one wore any masks, and no one got COVID.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just really kind of odd.
I just like that was like there was there's lots of hard stuff through COVID, but that was one of the biggest positives for me was just I met a whole different crew of people. And through that, like through those meetings and through the different little gatherings and whatever. And when we had that gathering down at the museum where there was free burgers and all that stuff for the community, like there was
Yeah,
so much love. We just wanted everyone to get like just to get along and talk, like just talk to us. Like
yeah,
there's other perspectives out there. This is really like just wanting to have conversation and just and I had friends that definitely got more engaged with me and got to talk about stuff a bit more deeper than just the
yeah.
surface and whatever. And but it was I really appreciated the community and that even like the trucker convoy, like what bothers me, like you probably know about Tamara and Chris Barber, like going to jail or having all
That's
this card. It's insane.
yeah. It really
It's
insane.
scary.
And yeah, the media was trying to make the freedom people look like loonies,
Yeah.
and they were just going along with all that BS.
Yeah.
And you in Ottawa, I had friends who were there sending me videos in real time, and then you look at what CBC was saying it was, and
Yeah.
that was just, I mean, that wasn't just bad journalism. You can't pass it off as bad journalism, but that was intentional misleading.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's where I really noticed fake news.
Yeah.
Our own CBC, and I love the CBC. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
I
No.
mean, yeah, that was sad to see actually that they stooped that low.
Yeah.
In journalism school, they learned about ethics. So how could they? Actually, some of them wouldn't do it. Some of them actually did quit,
Yeah.
but I didn't really hear a lot about that. But
Yeah.
that was sad. That got totally misrepresented. And even now, you see people who are believing that the trucker convoy was this group of radicals who were trying to take over Canada. Like, what the hell was that about? Then you had Trudeau cowering in Nanaimo or wherever he was cowering. I don't know where he was.
He's surfing probably.
I love a leader who will face it. He needed to be there to face it.
Yeah.
Better for worse. He should have went and spoke to those people.
100%. That's all like a
Yeah. So
conversation.
it could have ended in 5 days,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
But
Well, that was when
he
they
had to
pardon?
send the freaking. He had to send in the, I don't know what they're called, those police that came in and started trampling everybody. What the heck was that all about?
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Like they cleared that place out in less than a day because no one wanted to fight. If they were really bad, they would have stayed and like tried to fight back or whatever, but they didn't. And so it was they like, but no one's celebrating um, that we had Canadians that had that courage to go hang out in -30 weather and have fun and play hockey together on the street and like just, yeah. Anyways, but looks like we only have a minute and 40 seconds before I run out of time here.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. Let's talk about something then. Hey,
yeah, but I can always reconnect. But the last question here is actually on what are you most grateful for in your life at this moment? And is there anything else you'd like to share? And
what I'm
so,
most hopeful for at this moment.
yeah,
I hope people can start to unite more and not be so divided with left and right and men and women and however, racial divides.
yeah,
A lot of it's just in our heads. I
yeah,
mean, yeah. And I hope people can just have empathy for each other, and we all have whether we're rich or poor or black or white or whatever, we all have our trials. And yeah,
Beautiful.
never easy, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's gonna cut out, but I'd love to talk to you still. So I'm just gonna sign out, and then do you want to just sign back in? You can use the same link.
Oh, okay, sure.
Let's talk for a couple more minutes. But yeah, I'm not ready to finish.
Oh, okay.
So you just
So
have to sign back in. I'm gonna sign out, and then we'll sign back in.
okay, do I have to sign in too, or is it just going to automatically appear?
You just have to sign in. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'll call you. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
We'll see
Okay.
you. Yeah. Bye.
All right.
So we're back in action.
Yeah, we're back.
Got to do all the free versions here. So I got my 40 minutes of free Zoom. Um,
Oh, right. That's how it works. Okay.
yeah. So
I'm not much of a tech guy, so
yeah, I'm a techie, frugal tech. I gotta yeah, keep my budget.
uh, yeah,
So find the free versions. Yeah, I'm grateful for Zoom. And this all came out through COVID, right? Was
yeah,
having this way to connect with people, which has been awesome. Um,
yeah,
yeah, it's opened up a lot, like just in so many different interests. Like
yeah,
I'm really grateful for it actually. But yeah, and so yeah, we just kind of ended. I liked what you were speaking to about the your gratitude and just what you'd like to see different in the world and stuff. So if there's anything else that you wanted to share or that you feel called to share, um, yeah.
yeah. Oh, well, interesting. Right now, actually, before the Zoom started, there's a mystery going on in my house right now. Um, in my basement, I've got a cellar there, and I've got a pair of slippers that I put on when I go in the cellar because it's got a dirt floor. And every morning, when I get up in the morning, I go downstairs into my living room, and there's one of my slippers is upstairs, sitting right by the upstairs door. And the first time it happens, oh, that's weird. My slippers, I must have left it there, I guess. And I put it downstairs where it belongs. Next morning, same thing. Next morning, same thing. Okay, this is crazy. This must be the cats, right? So, okay, make sure the cats, because the cat's going outside more. So I keep them outside even at night. There's no cat inside the house. I come downstairs 7 o'clock in the morning, open the door to the living room, and there's that slipper again. I thought, okay, this is really weird. So I take it downstairs again. And I thought, okay, I'm going to really monitor this now. And if because Rania, my daughter, I thought, I wonder if she's playing a prank on me. No, she swears up and down it's not her. That's not really her style anyway to do that. So it's I'm a little freaked out now about that whole slipper thing. Um,
Ghost in the house.
and it happened this morning again, and the cats weren't in the house. So I think it's been 8 or 9 mornings in a row now. Only one slipper, not you know. And I don't think a cat could even do that, even if it was the cat.
Right.
And plus, the cats were in all winter. They never did it before, but it wasn't them because I know because they weren't even in. So
So weird. Should get like a animal camera
I
thing.
could.
Yeah, set up and look,
A friend of mine has a camera. I'm going to put a camera on there
figure out.
just to settle it. If my camera revealed a slipper just levitating and taking off by itself and going upstairs, I don't know what I'm going to do.
We'll put it on that. We'll have a podcast again.
You have to,
We
you
can
have to
show it.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear what you figure out with that mystery.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Just some little mystery I was thinking about before I
Probably a
go to
little like pack rat maybe or something that's just like whatever, but that doesn't make sense.
pack rats take things. They bring them to their dens.
Right.
And we've never even had a pack rat here before ever. Well, and there's always the first time, but no, they wouldn't
No,
do
that
that.
wouldn't make sense. No. They wouldn't
There's
just
no
keep
real.
doing it every day either.
Yeah. Why one slipper? There's two slippers sitting there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I look forward to the next time I talk to you and find out what that was about. If you've solved it by then.
Hopefully. I don't know.
It's funny. Well, there's lots of weird stuff going on everywhere for sure. Yeah.
There is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this mind will notice it. If
Yeah, for sure.
there's something weird going on, my mind will pick up on it and
Yeah.
try to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Try
Well,
to bring logic to it. And sometimes some things don't have any logic. So
yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Well, just your what you had expressed about all your traveling and stuff like that, your mind's been very open to lots of different experiences. So it's
Yeah,
that you don't just see something for exactly what it is. You're open to other ideas around it until you find the answer.
yeah, and it's almost like around the world you meet people, you realize everybody has a little bit of devil and a little bit of angel in them,
Hmm.
and if you treat people in a kind way, that angel is much more likely to come out. Even really bad people, people who are branded as really, really bad people, if you're just kind and authentic to them, you know, they'll usually, well, my experience, they'll
Yeah.
respect that. I went to a few pretty badass places in Africa and some war zones, and I mean, they had some experiences, and yeah, the people are, yeah, we're all the same in a lot of ways. Deep down, we all want peace.
Yeah.
We all want to be heard, recognized, and respected.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Wish I had all the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. I do too. But we'll get there one day, maybe. Maybe not this lifetime, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
But
then in our society, we have this social engineering going on, it seems. And I'm always watching out for that.
mhm.
And, you know, propaganda, for example, was something I learned about in school. And it was always other countries that did that, always dictatorships, always, monarchies that did that. But when you really think about it, propaganda is more important to a democracy than it is to a dictatorship. Because in a dictatorship, no one votes, so what do they care what people think? They just use the army to control them. I mean, it's in their best interest if things are easier, so they'll put out propaganda. But propaganda is much more important in a country where people vote. So
Oh,
you want to social engineer people to vote a certain way. And in the States, for example, where they have a two-party system, and I mean, I believe the two parties are basically one one party controlled by the same people, except maybe not Trump. He's a bit of a maverick, but yeah, everyone else. You look whether it's Democrat, Republican. Look at the history. It's the words are different, but it's the same. The wars go on. The rich get richer.
yeah.
Raytheon and the other arms manufacturers are busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the social engineering thing. It's like keeping us divided. And I'm not really a big conspiracy theorist guy, but there's something to be said about that, about us being divided.
Yeah.
And even with men and women, for example, I've noticed some strange thing I've noticed. And maybe it's just me, but this is what I've noticed. Um, when you watch, this has been going on for a long time too, like commercials on television, for example, there'll be a man and a woman in a commercial, and they're, I don't know, they're talking about Tide or whatever it is,
Yeah.
30 seconds or a minute. And if you look at the commercial, and I notice this over and over again, I was looking for it too after a while, so I probably noticed a little easier. Was the woman in the commercial was always coming off as the smart one. She was always better looking than the guy. You know, the guy was always kind of, maybe like kind of frumpy and duh. And I think over time, and you see this in movies too, lately. And over time, I think subconsciously, women probably, generally speaking, I don't want to speak about everyone, but they probably have this idea that men aren't as smart as them, maybe because of what you see, and it's just, and then when they get married, they probably have this maybe subconscious way of dealing with a man, like man's just some man, he's only a man. Like, what does he know, kind of thing. But it's not, it's much more subtle and it's not even conscious, probably.
Mhm.
And a man wants to be respected. I mean, not all men are respectable, but I think most men are respectable. A man really wants to be respected. So in a marriage, I think what can happen sometimes is a man would, I'm getting pretty deep here, but a man might subconsciously sense that he's not really being respected, and that he will react in a way that's not very, that's not very good.
Mhm.
And then she'll react to that, and it'll build up and build up and build up. And it all started from that stem of an idea you know, that men are kind of, you know, doofuses. I don't know. It's kind of a
Oh, I
kind
love
of
it.
strange theory I have, but I could be totally off on that. But it's just a theory that I've been
Uh,
watching.
Yeah. Well, what I'm super excited about is all the awareness, like the growing awareness around men's health and mental health and well-being, because
Yeah,
that's something that I have actually been quite upset about for quite a few years before COVID
right,
even, of just the neglect towards like women have a lot of permission to do the healing work. We're already into our emotions. We can talk about that and feelings.
right.
Men haven't had
Totally.
that, right?
No.
Now it's finally coming to a place where men are allowed to start to feel a bit more, or allowed to
Yeah,
actually start to take care of their bodies. Like
true.
that's that blue flags I'm not sure if you saw it, but it was this present as demonstration, an art demonstration of all these blue flags and purple flags that were
Yeah.
representing all the people that died from opioids in the last 8 years.
Oh,
They
right.
did one for BC and they did one for Canada as well. But the BC one, when I was watching the whatever news thing on it, it said that, yeah, so it was 12,000 blue flags for the men and then 3,000 purple for the women. So right there, that's opioids, but it shows there's a big difference in the men and women that are dying. And once
Oh,
again,
right.
that's just opioids, right? That's not talking suicides or alcohol or other different things, right? And so, but then within that, in this news thing, they said about 70%. That's why it's called the Blue Hat Memorial, is
All
because
right.
70% are are from the industrial kind of field of work. So I found that to be really like powerful, just to show like we need to bring more attention to the men and the healing that's needed there. And I think you're very on a good line there about what's been portrayed to the men and
Yeah.
how it's kind of been more demoralizing and stuff. And so yeah, so I'm hopeful with this. Things got shook during COVID big time, and I feel like a lot more awareness
And
on healing.
men and women need to realize that bottom line, we need each other.
Yes,
And men and women are just as amazing and just as awful as each other
yes, totally, totally,
in different
100%.
ways sometimes, but
Yeah,
really, yeah, we're just as valuable as each other,
yeah,
you know?
definitely. Yeah. No, I'm so glad we brought that into the podcast. So
Yeah,
wonderful. I knew I wanted to talk to you for a little bit longer. Yeah. Well,
about.
no, well, I really appreciate you, Joe, for all that you do here for the community, like feeding us all and your heart and passion into it, because it's definitely felt. And just when I've seen you, like, yeah, it's always a warm welcome whenever I've seen you. So
Thank you.
yeah. And are you still doing this is off topic, but are you still doing your sweats? Like you have didn't-
Yeah, we didn't do the saunas very much over the winter. But the year before, we did it almost every week. And the full moon is when we really get big on the saunas.
yeah.
But what we have been doing in the spring, summer, and fall is we have our Thursday evening, what we call river camp. Just
Oh,
we've got this beautiful campsite overlooking the river. It's just amazing breathtaking spot. And we get together on Thursday evenings, 7 p.m. There's anywhere from 5 to 10 or 15 of us. It's mostly guys. Sometimes some women join along, and we usually have a fishing rod or two going. It's a good salmon fishing hole. So yeah, so with the right time of the season, we've got some rod holders, and we're having some beers over the fire and talking about whatever. And a lot of different guys have come there, and it's something we're going to keep going this year. I'm probably going to start again maybe next Thursday. You should actually come down and check
yeah,
it out. I'll let you know
definitely.
when we're doing.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
we all walks of life. Like we had, a professor of economics from Boston University. We've had got Alex Cuba comes
cool.
down. We got people in all different fields,
Yeah.
and it's really cool the people that end up going there. Yeah,
Beautiful. That's
yeah,
awesome. Oh,
yeah.
thank you. Yeah, well, now more people will know about it. They can reach out to you.
Yeah, yeah, it's just something we do. It just started by accident, and we thought, yeah, let's just do this every Thursday, every Thursday evening. And the spot is just just breathtaking.
I know we're so lucky where we live. We're so lucky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we are. And we just got to keep it clean. This river, I can still pick up water in my hands and drink from this river.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow. You're braver than me.
yeah, I mean, nothing happened to me so far. Uh,
Yeah. That's good. You got immunity.
yeah, I mean, I'm a really big believer. I mean, I spent a lot of time reading about the human immune system,
Mhm.
and I realized how important it is that we expose ourselves to certain things, and just bit by bit, slowly. And it was amazing to me how during COVID, how doctors forgot how the immune system worked, and yeah, it was just bizarre. I think everyone should really look into that. How
Yeah.
the most important part. If 1 second to the next our immune system was gone, we'd live like 4 seconds or something. We'd be just gone. It's probably the most important thing in our body is this system that we have to
Yeah. Yeah.
protects us against bacteria and viruses and
Yeah. Have
kinds
you
of
ever have you heard of Greg Braden?
no.
Okay, I'll send you a podcast of his because he talks about the human and like our potential and how amazing we are, like exactly what you're speaking to. And then on and how we've kind of done the same as we did with men, how you're describing, but we've dumbed down the human. And it's like, no, the human piece
Yeah,
is amazing. And
and
we shouldn't be hating the human and blame like we should be
yeah,
um uh understanding and healing the human and reaching a higher potential with it.
and
That,
we've become so dependent. We've been so dependent on outside sources trying to make us better, when
yeah.
really it's really in here. And I mean, I'm the kind of person. 20 years ago, I decided to take my own health into my own hands. It took a lot of reading. It took a lot of a lot of work, a lot of effort, but I do that. Of course, if I get an accident, bring me to a hospital.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything else, I I take I take it in my own hands with homeopathy, naturopathy, diet, just sleep, the light, you name it. And I was thinking the other day that if you took 20 random people who did the same, who took their health in their own hands, and then took 20 random people who don't do that, their health is in their doctor's hands. Nothing against doctors, but they have the tools they have. And if you took 20 people and you compared their health,
Mhm.
I would bet that the people who looked after their own health would win 20 to nothing
Yeah.
over people who didn't. And I don't want to you know, seem like I'm dissing doctors, because I'm really not. I have a couple of friends who are doctors. And like I say, um, if I'm injured, car accident or whatever, take me to hospital. That's the place to go. But
Yeah.
and preventative, and that's the key.
Totally.
Prevent.
Yeah, preventative for sure, having that full. Yeah. No, yeah, well, I will let you go. I've taken your time.
Yeah,
I
great.
I so appreciate this conversation. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you on Thursday. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
I'll let you know
Yeah.
we're going to be doing that.
Yeah. No, that'd
Uh,
be awesome.
I'll shoot you a text, and
Yeah, please
I'm
do.
I'm trying to make it happen next Thursday, but it's kind of weather pending. It's a little early to start that, but I think I want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Bye.
no, definitely let me know for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
thank you so much, Joe. You have a wonderful evening, and we'll
So
talk to you soon.
I'll
Bye.
just
Bye-bye.